Wait, Mayor Jeremy, thank you for the $2 super chat. Stopped watching the Oscars after Leo finally won. I was happy about that. Despite my problems with Leonardo DiCaprio, there is no denying that he is a great actor, so I was definitely happy when he finally won that Oscar. And I understand that. I didn't watch the last 2 years. I've boycotted, and this year I will also boycott. I will say, even though I boycotted the Oscars, I at least watched the announcement of the nominations. I am not watching them announce the nominations this year. I am just ignoring it altogether. Eventually, some site that I wouldn't mind supporting is going to put out the list of who gets nominated, and then I'm going to read those from there. Just because I already know, based on SAG, based on everything else, it's going to be woke as F. And it's going to be ridiculous. Like Black Panther, Black Klansman, Crazy Rich Asians, these big movies that, you know, really aren't that great, but have diversity, are the ones that are getting nominated. And at the end of the day, I really just don't care. Like, there might be a few surprises that I'm like, oh, A Quiet Place, that would be awesome to get nominated, or something like that. But other than that, I have no care whatsoever. Johnny5 says, what did you think of Aquaman CGI? I felt it was very clean and very overwhelming. It had my jaw open. I mean, when it comes to the CGI for Aquaman, I've been very straightforward. It's not my favorite. I think that when a film overuses CGI, I think it's a problem. I do think the CGI, for the most part, looks good. I think that it's watchable. I wouldn't say it's unwatchable by any means, but I do think that it's still good nonetheless. That being said, I do think, going on, because I think I know where you're stemming this question from, I do think it deserved to be considered in the shortlist at the very least for visual effects at the Oscars. And I am fully supportive of James Wan, who is literally like attacking the Oscars for the fact that they did not include them in the shortlist. That means that Aquaman will not receive likely any nominations at the Oscars, and yet so many other woke films that really should be nowhere. Crazy Rich Asians, which is one of my least favorite films of this past year, because one, it's just not funny, and two, it exists for the sake of existing, is going to get more Oscar nominations than Aquaman, and Aquaman is probably, by if not tomorrow or Wednesday, crossing the $1 billion mark, which is significantly more than Crazy Rich Asians ever could hope to make, and then also has a very good chance at outpacing movies like The Last Jedi, because it hasn't even opened in Japan yet, and Japan's going to be a pretty good market for it. I'm making that prediction right now. Let's see. Alex Martinez says, hey, Odin, what's the most unbiased objective film awards, if any, still exist? Oh, Lord. I don't really think there are any. You know, it used to be the Oscars. The Oscars used to be like that peak. You know, you could look at the Guild Awards and the Golden Globes and all this other nonsense, and you would say, okay, whatever, we'll get through it. Because the Oscars, you know, at the very least, at least some of the Oscars, some of the categories will be good. But now even the Oscars have just lost any and all credibility over the past few years, especially with getting involved in political campaigns. And the year to me when I realized just how bad the Oscars were was when Best Picture, and this is true, at one point the Best Picture Oscar was given by and was presented by President Obama. Like, while Obama was in office, the Oscar envelope was given to his family. I think it was either him or Michelle, and they presented Best Picture. So it makes no sense to me whatsoever how they're involved in movies or why they should be doing that in the first place. But that was the moment I was like, you know what? They would never have done this for George W. Bush. They would never have done this for any Republican, for that matter. And that shows the really big problem in Hollywood, which is that there is no true diversity of thought in Hollywood at all. They love to preach about diversity, and yet when it comes to the diversity that actually matters, which is diversity of thought, there is none. And that was kind of like that wake-up moment for me where I was like, yeah, this is total hot garbage right here. And obviously it took me a little bit longer before I finally just gave up on it altogether. But Stuart says, I said in my comment on your vid earlier, at least they weren't any Trump jokes. At least they figured out that much. But that's the thing. There were still Trump jokes. They made comments about the wall constantly. So, yeah, they may not have out, you know, talked about and said the name Trump, but they still mentioned him. They talked about the wall several times, including the fact that they gave, and you know the reason why Roma, again, Roma is a beautiful movie, but you know that, especially after the speech that he gave, Roma's not only going to get nominated for Best Picture, there's a good chance that Roma could win Best Picture, because guess what? What is the best movie? And actually, I was thinking about this earlier, and I really do stand by this. I predict at this point, Roma's going to win Best Picture. And the reason why I think that is because what is the one movie that they could easily build up and also jump off of as far as a messaging standpoint to attack Donald Trump. Oh, wait, that's right. The movie by a Mexican director who's going to make comments about the wall and about, oh, my family would not have been able to come here if there had been a wall, etc. That is the one movie that they could easily attach that political agenda to. The movie doesn't have it in it. So let me just say straight off, the movie itself, as the movie, as the narrative, does not have that political agenda. But the director obviously does, and it's very easy for them, and they're known for doing this. When someone gives a speech that aligns with a political agenda that they like to see and they like to hear, it will take them far. Regina King, who won last night, she's going to win everything. Like, she's in, I believe the film is called If Beale Street Could Talk. She's going to win Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars. I can tell you this right now. Even though she has only won a Golden Globe, and the Golden Globes don't mean anything, I know that because the speech that she gave was about equality. And guess who else gave the same type of speech the year that she won everything? Go back to the Boyhood years. I'm completely forgetting her name at this point. But the year that Boyhood was a big thing, the woman who was actually terrible in the movie, she was a terrible actress, still is a terrible actress. She won the Oscar because she kept talking about women's equality and equal pay and citing statistics that aren't true and have been debunked several times over. That's what they want. They want the political message. They don't care about the performance in the end. What they care about is who is going to best represent a political message that we want millions of people to watch, that we want to represent our vision of what the world should be. And that's what the sad state is. Goldbrook Kaiser Soze, what's up, bruv? Your heartfelt, visceral reaction rant was so kick-ass, best ever. Well, thank you, Cobra. I appreciate it. Nothing gets me going like people ruining my fun and my love of movies. 15 Darcy, welcome to the channel. Hey, Odin, could you talk a bit more about Green Book? Green Book's great. I love Green Book. Like, it's so funny because on paper, people will probably say, oh, that's probably a movie that Odin's gonna, like, lambast and attack. Green Book is a great film. Green Book is one of my favorite films of the year. Wasn't #1 for me, but it was in like my top 3 movies of the year. And the reason why is because it tells a great story. It's funny as hell. Guys, seriously, it is a funny movie. It might be the funniest movie I've seen this year other than like Deadpool 2. It really has some really smart humor. And the interactions between Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali are just fantastic. Because not only do they portray their characters perfectly, not only is their relationship so interesting and just beautiful to watch, but the fact is that both of them go through different character arcs and go in different directions. And by the end of the film, you've been on them with that journey. And it's very rare that a film can take you on not only just one person's journey, but 2 people's journey, and you easily follow and understand their relationship and how they get from point A to point B. It's a believable story of a guy who's an Italian guy who starts off being extremely racist, spends time with this doctor, essentially this person who's studying music at the observatory who happens to be black, taking a tour through the South as his bodyguard, and just how that experience, I think improves them both. Makes them both better people. Changes them, I think, both for the better. And the performances within them are fantastic. Viggo Mortensen deserves so much more credit than what he's getting. And he, unfortunately, had the mistake of casually using the N-word in a conversation about history. Now, again, I'm not saying that, oh, just say the N-word whenever you want. But the fact that he was saying it within the context of explaining the time period his film took place and him getting attacked for it and having to apologize is just ridiculous. It's so funny that happens, but then anytime that you listen to like modern day rap songs, they say it all the time and they're like praised for it because they're geniuses and they're hip. Evo says, Odin, you should do your own film awards. I am Evo. Thank you for that segue. Guys, we are doing our own awards here on this channel. In fact, we already have the category suggestions. And if you see Heimdall is going to be posting, vote in this week's poll. When you see him do that, click on the link and make your voice heard, because whatever get the most votes are going to be official categories for what I'm calling the first annual Wednesday Raven Awards. Why is it the Wednesday Raven Awards? Because I am Odin. Wednesday comes from a very ancient translation of the name Odin and Odin's ravens. And so therefore I can say the Raven goes to, and so I'll be giving out ravens to various films and various people. So that will be going on, and it's going to be happening the night of the Oscars. So we're going to be doing a boycott, a live boycott of the Oscars, and while they give out their SJW participation trophies, we're going to be doing a real award show here that's going to be voted on by you. Categories, movies, and winners by you, the people. And it's going to be a ton of fun. Alex Martinez says, Odin, the problem about Hollywood is they only focus on the surface level diversity, not deep level diversity. They only care about what they see, not the diversity of their thought or character. And you're exactly right. They care about optics. To them, a movie like Crazy Rich Asians is perfect. Why? Because you have an all-Asian cast. And oh my God, that's revolutionary. Oh my God, it's the first time that there's a female-led Asian actress. And that's all they care about. When you actually watch the movie, when you dive into the story, when you dive into all the other elements, guess what? There's nothing there. There is no there. And so what you're left with is just a corpse of nothingness that adds nothing to the discussion, that adds nothing to movie history, except for the fact that it has a diverse cast. They want diversity for the sake of diversity. They don't want actual content. They don't want actual, instead of creating their own heroes, because guess what? If they create their own woke heroes, no one will go to see it. So what do they do instead? They take properties. They take Star Wars. They take Star Trek. They take Captain Marvel. I mean, they take all the Marvel characters, and what do they do with them? They take those pre-established characters and then turn them woke, thinking, oh, people won't know the difference. Here's the thing. General audiences are a lot smarter than you think, Hollywood, and they understand when you try and do that. And guess what happens? Look at Star Wars. Look at Star Trek. Look at Doctor Who at this point. We see it, we understand it, we reject it, and at some point, you are going to lose out tremendously, because eventually these series are just going to fade away from existence, and we're just going to be reminiscing in the good old days when all that nonsense didn't exist. Super says, Odin just voted in the straw poll. So excited for your award show. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And some people might ask me, like, why am I doing this in early January? Well, the poll is going to be up for another day or so, and then we're going to finalize categories. But then we got to go category by category, and I'm going to let you guys, just like I did before on Twitter, on Patreon, and on Discord, choose movies for a particular category. And we're just going to do it category by category. So obviously, if we have like 10 to 15 categories, depending, I'll talk to the Valkyrie at some point about what the number should be. It's going to take some time to put those things together. And then eventually, when we have the final list, then I'm going to try and get it all into just one site, probably like a Survey Monkey or a Google Doc thing where you can vote. And then that way, you just basically, it's like you have a ballot. And then it'll be, I think, more fun because you'll have like your own personal ballot that you get to fill out and put out there, and you won't know the results right away. I want to have that happen and then reveal the results on a live stream. I think that could be a lot of fun. That's kind of like my plan going on at this point, to do it in that way. And it should be a lot of fun. It should definitely be a lot of fun.